Hello everyone, welcome to the Economy Primer series of Drishti IAS. I am Ritu and today we are going to discuss very important topic of economy, which is global financial institution or international financial institution. So you may wonder that why we have taken this topic, because this topic is in news because of the ongoing wars between different countries, Russia-Ukraine war, Israel-Palestine war, and recently the world is also facing and has faced the pandemic, and because of the pandemic the economy is still in the process of recovering. So that's why in such situation the role of global financial institution became very prominent. So that's why we have chosen this topic. So moving to the points of discussion part. So first of all we will discuss why in discussion. So we already have briefly discussed that why we are going to discuss this topic, and then we'll have a brief intro about global financial institution, and then we'll have brief intro about types, that what are the different types we have, and then importance of international financial institution, case study of COVID-19, because this thing is very much important. Because of that thing their role has been increased, and then what are the drawbacks we have, and then practice question for prelims and mains. So moving to the why in discussion part. So we have taken few cutouts from the newspaper. So the first cutout is big central banks pause interest rate rises and other economics news to read this week. MDBs, which is multinational development banks, agree to collaborate on finance climate sectors. So these are the very important area where we have to work on. Jaishankar Goytres discuss reform of global financial institution and sustainability, and later international financial institution in the era of great power competition. So how they are evolving, is there any change needed for themselves or not? So this thing we are going to study in this lecture. So moving to the next slide. Next slide is about what is the introduction. So here we are going to study the introduction part. So the global financial institutions are the financial institution with two or more countries, and they are bound by and they are subject to the international law. So this is a brief introduction about the global financial institution. And what is the brief history we have for this global financial institution? So first, it has been started from the Second World War too, and after the Second World War the economy of various European countries has been ruptured. So in order to reconstruct their economy, their societal problems, the World Bank and IMF has been introduced, and later they have started working with other organizations and other countries also. So in order to provide their support, economic support, financial support to those countries, this particular thing has been launched. And what were their main objectives? So to provide mechanism for international cooperation, because whole world were fighting in the Second World War, so there should be international cooperation so that economy could be recovered, and after that managing the global financial system. So these things are the need of that hour. So that's why these global financial institutions have been made. And what are the examples we have? So World Bank, IMF, International Financial Corporation. So these are the early ones which has been designed to cooperate in such areas. So moving to the next slide. Next slide is about that what are the types we have for the global financial institutions. So the first type is multilateral development banks. So as the name suggests, multilateral development, it means that two or more countries are involved into this thing. And what is the peculiar thing about this thing is that this is not majorly related to the geographic centric. In most of the regional bank areas, we can see that geography is particularly defined in most of these, but generally it is right now this is a very global world and geography has nothing to do with the economy, but most of these regional banks were based on the geography. But in multilateral development banks, geography is not the main focus area. Together they can decide that on which geography or on which geographical location they had to invest. So in that way they can be geographically together but not by the land area. So this is a brief example of multilateral development bank. And what is their main job? So their main job is to discuss financing and professional advice to enhance development. So they are not just financing the countries, they are also giving the professional advice to those countries in order to achieve their economic development. And I already had discussed about the geographic and thematic focus, that they decide that in this country we are going to invest, and it's also based on that, suppose that Jharkhand is a mineral based state. So if World Bank and if IMF decide to invest in that countries and they invite private sectors to invest in that country, it means that that has a geographical location importance. So in that way, they had this geographical focus and also thematic focus. Suppose that we have a country which is very conflict ridden country. So in that way, you can decide that what is the theme of that country, that this is a conflict ridden country. So you need different kind of support for that country. So we have the example of Multilateral Development Bank, World Bank, European Investment Bank, Asian Development Bank, New Development Bank. So these are the few examples of it. So what is other thing about this thing is that here there is a donor provision of donor and one provision of borrower. So generally what happens that developed countries donate or they lend money to the developing countries and developing countries borrow money from the developed countries. So with the help of these organization, the process become very easy. So sometimes they provide grants and loans also. So in that way, this is the brief introduction of Multilateral Development Bank. So moving to the next slide is about Regional Development Bank. So I already had told that, you know, in Regional Development Bank, maybe the area can be considered. Suppose that we have this Asian Development Bank, European Development Bank. So in that way, you can see that there is a focus and theme on the particular area. But right now, we are in this globalized world. So they also invite other investors and they also invite other countries to become part of the Asian Development Bank, to become part of any development banks, the country who does not belong to that particular area or particular continent. So this is the Regional Development Bank. And moving to that, what is the Bilateral Development Bank? So Bilateral Development Bank, as the name suggests, that here there is a relationship between two countries. So generally what happens that there is a relationship between developed countries and developing country, in which developed countries provide support to the developing countries or least developed countries. So this is a bilateral relation between those, and in that way they invest in each other. And suppose that if so they have this correlational nature also, that they are providing each other support, and they had also this relation of the donor and borrower. So we have few examples just like Netherlands Development Finance Company, DEG German Investment Corporation, Deutsche Investigation. So these are the example of regional development banks and bilateral development banks. So moving to the next slide is about what is the importance of global financial institution or international financial institution. So the first importance here is that we already have discussed that provide loans, grants to the developing countries, middle income countries, low income countries. And apart from loans and grants, they also have different kind of facilities. Suppose that we have supporting the implementation of SDGs. So today, sustainable development goals are need of the hour, and this is very important to achieve economic equality in any country. So it provides help and supports to fulfill the SDGs of the particular country. Then second is provide concessional finance and grants. So suppose that they provide grants and loans to particular countries, but they decide that, okay, this country is very much conflict ridden, this country is very much poor, this country has lots of this problem. So they decide concessional grants and loans according to the income of the countries, according to the economic situation of that country. So this is the second role. Third role is that promotive inclusive growth and shared prosperity. So in the first lecture, we have discussed a lot about the inclusive growth, and you know that what are the factors for the inclusive growth, the digital development, social development, infrastructure development. So these are the factors and elements of the inclusive growth. So in that way, they also provide huge support to the inclusive growth, and they just not support the financial thing, they also support the gender equality problem, climate problems, social equality problems. So these kind of supports they also provide, and they also provides the facility of the trade. So in some countries you can see that there is a provision of open trade, so free trade. So these kind of provisions we can see. And some countries, if India has a good relation with USA or India has a good relation with UK, so they provide concessional grants to the India. They also provide concessional trade structure. It means that they have a less kind of the subsidy, they have a less tax on their import, they have a less tax on their export material. So in that way, these platforms provide bilateral relation between two countries and also the multilateral relation between various countries, and they conjoin economies together. So moving to the next slide. Next slide is about case study of COVID-19. So why we have taken the case study of COVID-19? Because after the Great Depression, the world has seen such kind of the economic problems, and because of the pandemic, all over the world's economy has been destabilized, and especially the developed countries' economy is highly destabilized. So in that way, it's very important that what were their role in the COVID-19. So these are the approved support by region, and this data has been taken by CSIA. So this is not an informal data. So here we can see that approved support by region. So here what we can see that America has the top country which has provided support to the various countries. So this is the this data about it, and the Middle East has the lowest country which has provided support to another country, and there is a reason because of that. So many countries are still involved in a various fights, and we can still see that there is a Israel-Palestinian war in which not just Israel-Palestinians getting affected, the other neighboring countries, Middle Eastern countries are also getting affected. So here what is the approved support by institution type? USD billion. So what we can see here that IMF has provided huge number of the loans, 82.8%, and then 82.8 USD billions, and then MDB has also extended 57.4 USD billions, and RFA is just minimal 0.6. So what we can see is that role of IMF is very large here, that it had provided 82.8 USD billion dollar support to the countries, and different multilateral development banks has also provided 57.4. So alone IMF has contributed a lot to the development of the economies. So moving to the next slide. Next slide is about case study of India. So why we have taken case study of India? Because India is a country which has a very important role in multilateral development banks and also the global financial institution. So because India is a country which has borrowed a lot from all these institutions, and it has also say in the decision making process. So in that way, it's very important to study the case study of India, and there are various projects which has been supported by World Bank, IMF. Suppose that we have Odisha Higher Education Program which has been supported by World Bank. We have this health program of Jharkhand. We have the health program of Tamil Nadu. So in that way, World Bank is supporting a lot in the India, and IMF has also supported various projects such as Indore Metro projects. So in that way, they both institutions are supporting a lot to the India, and Asian Development Bank has also contributed to various railway projects, various metro projects. So India is not just taking support from the IMF and World Bank, it is also taking support from the Asian Development Bank and other regional development banks. So in that way, it's very high time to discuss India's role and how it is effectively supporting in the decision making process. So here we have taken a few examples that how India has taken support in the COVID-19 era. So India has got approval of $1 billion from the World Bank in the preparedness of the COVID-19 system, and Asian Development Bank has also approved $5 billion loan to India for CARES program, and New Development Bank has also given assistance of $1 billion loan. So in that way, what we can see here that they are not just providing grants, they are also providing loans which India has to pay, but maybe they can provide compensation to according to the country's economic conditions. So for loan, they had to pay the interest rate also. So moving to the next slide. Next slide is about what are the drawbacks we have in the multilateral development banks or in the global financial institution. So the first drawback is the adapting to emerging global challenges, operations and financing mechanism. So we know that we have a different kind of global economic problems are coming. So suppose that this pandemic was very inevitable, and right now we don't know that Russia and Ukraine war has been escalated this much, and we don't know that how much this escalation of Israel-Palestinian war. So in that way, we have to be according to the global financial system and the changing trends of the global scenario. So they have to be very quick in such circumstances that if there is a sudden shift in the economic of whole world, then they should be that responsive and the support should be given on the time. So the second thing is resource constant, increasing the demand of development financing. So there is a resource constant with various organizations. So we can see that there is an unequal distribution of resources, and because of that we have resource constant, and they are unable to attract various private investors, especially in the developed countries, because in developed countries you don't have many opportunities, maybe your business will go down also. So in that way we have this resource constant issue also. And many countries who are very good friend with the World Bank, IMF and other institutions, they get more support from them. But many countries who does not have much similarities and much familiarity with all these institutions, so they have to struggle a lot to get loans, to get grants. So in that way this is also resource constant. Then coming to the procedural concerns, so whatever the structure we have in the World Bank, IMF, Asian Development Bank, so what we can see here that there is a very bureaucratic process, and that process is very lengthy and very what you can say is that very dictatorship kind of qualities they have. So in that way it's very difficult for the lower income countries and middle income countries to get support from these countries, because they have a very huge bureaucratic structure, and this is not good for any democratic world. So in that way there is a procedural constraint in that all the MDBs. And then mobilizing private sector investment. So we already had discussed that they are attracting private sector investment, but it's very difficult to attract those private sector investment in the developed countries. So in that way, if developed countries will not have money, suppose that we have already seen the example of America, that America alone has provided a lot of support to various countries. So if America will not have money, then how he and she will provide money to the other countries? And there are so many economies which are dependent on the America. So in that way, the private sector should also invest in the developed countries, so that there will be the more money to support other countries. And the last is addressing climate change. So climate change is the new crisis of today's hour, and so many economies are disrupted because of the climate change. Recently we had discussed that what is the economic cost of air pollution. So in that way it's high time to discuss the climate change and how these organizations are responding to the climate change. It's also very important. So they are definitely responding to the climate change, but that is not according to the need of the hour and according to the need of the climate. So in that way, they had to also rectify their problem, that whatever we are giving the support, that should be translated into the development. Plus, they have also what many of the organizations have made in the Second World War era time. So that time the situation was very different. Your economic problem was very different. So in that way, it's very important that you have to provide support according to the need of the hour, and you have to analyze the situation that what world is going through, and you have to provide support accordingly. And there should be no biased opinion and biased favoritism for particular country, that if particular country has a particular stake and has a particular familiarity, then they should not be always provided loans and they should not always be provided grants. So in that way, this thing is also very important, and these are the drawbacks we have. So moving to the next slide. So what conclusion we have gained? So this is the only conclusion we have gained, that in various sectors, and all these MDBs and all these global financial institutions had helped a lot to the world, and especially in the development of India, they had a lot helped. So when India got independence, so many these multilateral development banks extended their support. Earlier, India was a closed economy. It was not taking support, but after the 1990s, India has opened its economy, and in that era, so many multilateral development banks has supported to the development of the India. So in that way, we have seen that India has become very lucky. But what is the problems here is that, so many least economic countries and middle income countries does not have much right in the decision making process. So we have discussed about the bureaucratization of all these MDBs. So we have to also discuss that, the lower income countries and middle income countries should also have right in the decision making process. They should also have voice, that whatever the problem they are facing, they should get immediately solved, and there should be no favoritism towards them, that if they are lower income countries, there should be no favoritism, that they are lower income countries, so their opinion should be ignored, because they are very resourcefully high and so many countries are investing, but they don't know that how their raw materials are extracted and they are sold to the final products, and they are not getting benefit from their own raw material. So in that way, their decision making process should be increased. So this is the conclusion, and it's high time that we need to reform all these global financial institutions according to the need of the hour, according to the economic needs of the whole world. So moving to the next slide. Next slide is about practice question for prelims. So this is a situational question. nations that have major economic expansion attract, and your options are imports, exports, foreign investment, privatization. So you have to answer in the comment section. Moving to the mains part. So the mains question is, what reforms must be introduced in existing pattern of international financial institution? So first of all, you have to define that what is international financial institution. So in intro part, you have to define what is IFIs. So we already had discussed that, you know, these are the financial institution which inculcates 2 or more countries and that are subject to the international law. So this is the brief introduction of the IFIs, and then you have to write down that why they need reforms. So we already had discussed that why they need reforms, because they have this governance issues, they has this climate change issue, they has this procedural constraint, they has this resource constraint. So because of all these things, we need reforms in the multilateral development banks, in the international financial institution. And what kind of reforms we needed? So first of all, there should be abolition of favoritism. Peace building process should be initiated by World Bank, IMF, big organization should initiate peace building process, because so many economic problems are coming because of so many wars, and especially the African countries are facing lots of problem because of the Russia-Ukraine war, and their food resources has been starved because of the Russia-Ukraine war. So in that era, in that situation, all these organizations should always talk about the peace building process. So this is not much economic in nature. This may sounds very social, but you already know that social and economics both are correlated. So if the social things would be good, then economic thing will be also good. So there should be the peace building process all around the world, and then you should attract private investor to the developed countries, and there should be more focus to the conflict ridden countries. Suppose that Mozambique, Palestine, Jordan, Syria. So for all these countries, all these organization and institution has to look at how these countries' economy should be improved, and they had to focus on the self-sustenance. And so many times the IMF chief, World Bank chief has said that, you know, we are able to privatize so many things of various countries, and we are able to invest in various countries. But money alone cannot solve the problems of conflict ridden countries. They had to improve their governance issues also, and governance is best controlled by the local government or the domestic government. So their domestic market should be also strengthened. Not just foreign direct investment could be solved their economic problems. So it's high time that countries should also focus on their governance issue, their social issues, so that they can take support from various multilateral development companies and also the global financial institution. So I hope you like this lecture. If you have any queries related to this lecture, kindly ask in the comment section. Thank you.